Right.
Oh, sorry about that.
But those are the absurd ones. But the general, I think what we're trying to accomplish here is first to let people know that really they should be cutting their walls 2 feet, and they should be removing the carpet if they think they're drying the carpet, especially if it has pad underneath. That pad will never dry.
Never. In fact, there should never be a carpet in any basement anywhere in the world. Period.
I'm on your side with that.
Yeah. Oh, totally. I mean, it's
old
bad news.
My old cliche is that basements aren't meant to be living rooms. You know, and
very well put.
But they are, and the reality of it is that people try to optimize their space, and they do it, and then they are all just so disappointed when we're looking at these water problems.
Even these homes that are new, that you were talking about, carpets are supposed to be in basements. These are new homes, and all of a sudden, like on the 6th to 8th year, you go downstairs like, ooh,
exactly.
What's that? So of course you're thinking, okay, the wall's leaking. It could be, and the door could be leaking, and the window. Or you could have culture stone. All that could be happening. Okay, but what people never think about is, well, the concrete slab and the soil below it's at like 50-some degrees.
Right.
And so if the humidity increases, you form a dew point, and a carpet's like a little insulator, right? Insulation, and a dew point forms underneath the padding.
Exactly.
And now you got mold growing underneath the padding, or in the padding. You don't even see it. It's like microscopic mold, you know, and it gives off that odor.
Absolutely.
5 years, throw out the carpets, right?
The first thing is you smell it, and it's okay to put a throw rug down, but carpeted basement.
Well, and the thing is that we don't smell it right away. The females in our lives smell it
right away,
way before we do.
Really?
Oh, they're amazingly more sensitive than we are.
Anything, static electricity, odors,
out of 100
noises, and
females do.
Oh yeah, one of my number one clients and your clients is the female has a problem in the home. It could be an odor, it could be a noise, it could be like a tick tick, it could be something, and the husband absolutely thinks that his wife or significant other is crazy.
Right.
And he just because I don't smell anything.
Right.
I don't see anything. And, we're like, we're building science experts, and we know that she's not making this up.
It's just kind of funny that the guys don't notice it.
No, I know
but
that.
The women do. And,
but you know what? That's okay.
My friend, I took her upstairs, like, last Friday. Within minutes, her clothes started to cling, and she said, "I just want to move my hair out of my face." She had long hair because it was just she could feel this, sensation.
Yeah, that's true.
And it's funny. I hate to say this, but I've been doing this for so many years that I can go into a room, and I could actually smell, and a lot of people can't. I could smell if it's stone, like underneath the slab that's giving off sulfur, or if they got a male cat, that's spraying, along with the dog. You got the cat odor and the cat dog odor. You got the mold odor. You got the stone odor. You got the rotten egg odor. That one's tough because now you're thinking, is it plumbing? Is it like carpeting? Because some of those carpet rubbers give off that odor. Then you got the electric odor, and there's all kind of different odors.
Exactly.
And females pick it up just right away.
When I do an audit, I enter the house, and I know I have 15 minutes to detect odors, because then it becomes sensitized and I can't smell them anymore. And if I hit it immediately, I go down to the basement while it's still alive. But after 15 minutes, I have no idea if there's an odor in there or not.
And that's the same with the homeowners. They live in the house.
They have no idea.
Right? They get used to it.
And they're sick.
Didn't you and me about 15 years back, we had the sweater, we call her the sweater lady? Do you remember the sweater lady? Where she went to parties and she stunk like mold? Right. And nobody would tell her. Would never tell her. Yeah, and finally one day, after like 10 years, somebody said, excuse me, but you smell like mold. And you and me went to her house, and we found out she had I don't want to say compulsive disorder, but she had like 300 sweaters. More sweaters than you could possibly wear in a year. But they're all like in a closet, and then she had a crawl space that nobody knew about that had water in it. And the cold air returns were leaking. It sucked the mold spores and
Right.
the smut,
The odors,
the odors,
VOCs.
and then her closet acted as a filter, and it would just filter into the sweaters. So she put on a sweater that she hasn't worn in a year, and you what did you call it? The 15 minutes.
15 minutes and then you don't notice it anymore.
So she doesn't notice it. She wakes up in the morning, 15 minutes, puts on a smelly sweater, and goes out into the world.
Yeah. Now you said
You remember that?
leaky return air ducts. What do you mean by that?
Basically, the whole world's about the heating system, the supply ducts and the return ducts. The supply duct heat, then that one that doesn't do anything to return. Well, if the return ducts go through a space that are leaky, in other words, they're not sealed, they're not taped, there's little holes in them, then it's like a straw sucking that room. So it's sucking that little wet, muddy crawl space room and any mold that's growing on the walls, and it sucks it right into the heating system.
So is that crawl space ventilated or conditioned?
This one was like completely wrong. It was both. It wasn't ventilated and it wasn't conditioned. They closed it up, they sealed it, and then any water got in or just kind of like said, "Hey, here I am, man. I'm not going anywhere."
Oh,
yeah.
Wow.
So
it was designed as a ventilated crawl space with louvers on the outside wall, and then they sealed the louvers up.
Yes,
but failed to condition it.
And conditioning, you're right.
That's killer.
It was a muddy. It was an addition that was only 20 years old. A brick building that didn't have weep holes to boot. Didn't have weep holes, and they didn't have a vapor barrier on the bottom. The plastic sheeting that we always talk about in our other shows. We talk about the 100% seal vapor barrier, the perimeter insulation, the dehumidification, the supply duct positive pressure, drying. And we do say try to treat your crawl space like your living room. Kind of like you said, your
short basement.
You said the basement wasn't a living room, but you know what? You're right. But I'm going to say treat your crawl space like your living room. You know, and that's what that was. And you fixed that house. Did you fix that house?
I did.
Did you ever have a callback?
Actually, yes. And then on the second go around, we found that the brick on the house was painted white, and it didn't breathe.
It was like a vapor barrier.
And then we found out that on the addition there was a vapor barrier. They put plastic up inside the wall.
You mean visqueen?
Yeah, but behind.
Oh no!
So basically, they put plastic up, 6mm poly plastic, and then they put the drywall up. So now it's like. It was insane because if the air conditioner's on, you're done. It's over. It drips and so a lot of that moisture that was in the crawl space was actually probably water dripping from condensation from the air conditioner into the crawl. And there's puddles.
And so
puddles. Oh yeah.
There were two distinct.
If I had little boats, I could have put boats in there and
really.
Yeah, I could have played in the mud. It would have been fun.
There were two distinct times of the year when it smelled, and one was in the fall of the year when it went from hot to cold. And one was in the spring of the year when it went from warm to hot, and so they had spent so much money on the house because it was a rather large house, probably 6,000-7,000 square feet, and they spent so much money, 6,000 or 7,000 square feet.
Didn't you and me?
Moly.
You know what we did in that house? We did some diagnostics, and Jim and I went there, and what we did was we drilled into the brick on the outside. And we put probes into her house.
You did?
We computerized probes that would measure temperature, humidity, and dew point. And we set them for 1 hour intervals and set it for 2 months. So then we sealed up the holes. We had it was kind of fun. We tied strings to them so we could pull them out. It was. And if you look below, you'll see what I'm talking about. I'll add those pictures for you. But we pulled them out and we graphed it. And it was amazing how the humidity would go up and down at different times when the air conditioner was on, when the air conditioner was off. Do you remember that?
So these were data recorders?
Exactly.
And,
USBs.
You just scotch taped them to the outside brick, or
no? I drilled a hole through the brick. I then pushed the data recorder into the brick with a string hanging on it. Then I caulked it because I didn't want it. communicate with the outside.
influenced by the
No, actually, I used
yeah.
toilet paper. I put the toilet paper in, and then I caulked the outside with just a string hanging out.
Clever.
It was beautiful.
That's clever.
Yeah, and I set them all to go off at the same time. So when I put them on my computer, it was like they all came together. It was like amazing.
Yeah.
It was just.
Yeah.
And what was funny was we already knew the problem, but we did that anyways. You know, what is that? What is that? No show, no dough.
Was that for insurance purposes?
I'm joking about that. We actually needed to do that.
Right.
I mean, was that so the insurance would pay for it? Or?
No, the insurance never paid for it.
Oh, it didn't.
Unfortunately, well, we solved the problem good enough so that the children got well again, and then they actually had to go to they went to this natural clinic that specializes in mold, and they detoxed the kids, and the wife got well again.
Oh, for God's sakes!
And
now, how long is that process? Like 6 months or?
At least 6
weeks?
months. It was probably the better part of 1 year.
Really?
The children were so sick they were out of school, and she was homeschooling. So they had to go through quite a process. When I entered the scene, the littlest one was so ill that they had to prop her up to eat. She had trouble sitting up, so they had to prop her up to eat. So we dramatically improved the quality in that house.
Jim, a lead-based paint in
Right.
the older homes in the Rust Belt
Right.
affects children's brains permanently. I mean,
Yes.
it reduces their learning,
Yes.
etc. Does mold have the same effect, or is it once you've resolved it and they're in a clean environment for, as you say, a year or whatever,
Right.
do they lose any mental capacity?
Studies are ongoing.
Oh, they don't know
with
that.
it. They really don't know. Generally, if you remove somebody from the environment, they get better. But when you have a child whose immune system only develops, after 7 years old, and you have them from
Oh, really?
0 to so you have anybody 0 to 7, and they've been involved in a toxic environment for a long period of time, you don't know. The nice thing is that the research is ongoing worldwide now as to the effects of mold and mycotoxin.
As an adult, if you become what I'll term as sensitized to mold,
Right,
in other words, you walk into a moldy environment,
right,
you get sick almost immediately.
Yes.
Whereas I'm not sensitized.
Right.
I walk into the same room,
right.
and I have no effects whatever, and you could
Right.
be in the hospital. And
Yes.
that's permanent.
Well, that's because they developed a biotoxic pathway, and the biotoxic pathway, and that's a whole other story and a whole other show, is not only mold. The biotoxic pathway can be chemicals, like the woman who can't stand perfume,
Oh, really?
that sort of thing.
Plug in air fresheners.
Right, and see multiple, that we call that MCS, multiple chemical sensitivity, and it's very interesting because it ties in with mold. The research used to be years ago, 20 years ago, it was maybe 1 in 10,000 people, and then an article came out of Canada by some researchers about 7 or 8 years ago. And the researcher warned that this was the next coming problem, an epidemic, maybe worse than mold.
No.
And we thought, no, this guy's way off. And then from my association, the Global Indoor Health Network, which is a wonderful source of information.
What is it called?
Global Indoor Health Network.
Really?
GIHN.
And you can get that on the internet.
Oh,
Look,
they're wonderful.
So Google
Yes.
it, and it's there.
Yes.
So you become a member,
you can
and they have
become-
articles and all the good stuff.
Yes, all the research. They have research from all over the world.
Excellent.
They're amazing.
A really good source.
Yes. A couple of researchers from Texas 2 years ago were tested for MCS in South Texas, and the rates were 30%.
You know,
It's grown that fast.
Wow.
that might be a little exaggerated, but it's up there. But you know what? You know why it's up there? It's not just up there because, when you and me were kids, what did? We ran out and played in the mud, right? We
Yeah.
played in the mud. We came home, maybe we washed our hands. Maybe.
Right.
If it was dinner, yeah, Mom, wash your hands, brush your teeth. You know, we did that part. But our shirts were dirty.
Right.
Our hair was dirty.
The whole everything.
And back then we took a shower. We took baths.
In those days,
maybe once every 3 days. It wasn't every day, you know. So these kids today, in the morning, shower, all these chemicals, clean, scrub everything up. Don't touch anything. Put plastic gloves on, right?
Yep.
So they're not even, their bodies don't even know what dirt is. And then you throw them into this house that went through what? We went through at least 10 energy crises, right? So every energy crisis, more insulation. Heat pump, change it to height efficient. Let's go to condensing furnace. Now let's start foaming up our walls. Let's get the triple track windows. You know, and our houses are becoming so tight, right? Not to mention, not only are they tight, but now they're not even made out of like 100-year-old logs because, you know, we cut all those down. Right. We're going to make it out of steel. We're going to make it out of plastic. We're going to make it out of cultured stone. You know, well, actually, cultured stone does have a little bit of absorption, but our houses do not have a hydric buffer capacity anymore. So you can't hold the water in the house, right? So now you get a little bit of moisture. You cook some pasta or something. Well, you got to cook a lot of pasta.
Do the laundry.
Whatever. Your sub pump's missing a cover.
Yep.
You know, you got a basement leak or crawlspace leaks. You know, whatever. A humidifier on a furnace. Then we throw in our carpets, like you said. We increase the humidity. And now what are we going to do? Oh, we're going to bring the pets in the house. When we were kids, I had a doghouse.
Right.
Snoopy, outside. Right. Snoopy lived outside.
Keyword, outside.
The food was outside. He never went in. Well, you know what? We can't do that. They all got to come in. And all the cat people have cats now. Mm-hmm. So now the dogs went in. They're like salivating on the carpets. And you got the humidity. And the kids are cleaning and bathing themselves. The house can't hold moisture, and it's no wonder they become sensitized. Right. It's a whole different world.
Oh,
I think it's
a whole different world.
I think it's just the attitude.